That rich kid with the boat would totally have had sex with you.
Yeah. He had a whole boat for you to have sex on, and you blew it.
He took her to, like, basically a private island.
This is Whose Creek Is It?
The podcast where two sisters recap and pontificate about the show Dawson's Creek.
I'm Miranda, and I've seen the whole series at least 5 times.
And I'm Allison, and I'm watching this show for the very first time. Let's get started.
Season 1, Episode 7, called Detention. It came out in March 3rd, 1998, and the director was Alan Arkush, and the writer was Mike White, so I don't think we've heard of those people yet.
They sound like TV writers.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack in this episode.
Yeah, this was a weird one.
The ending never makes sense to me, like, nothing ever gets like, there's no resolution, really.
Yeah, the ending was very... the last 5 minutes were very, like, a very special episode.
Yeah.
It got weird. Yeah, this was a weird one. But as usual, it starts off in Dawson's bedroom.
Mhm. And they're sitting on the bed, and in between them, I think, is an ET doll.
Yeah, it's Joey and Dawson. It's just those two, right?
Yeah. And they're watching some movie where I guess 2 guys are racing in their cars, and Dawson shuts it off all frustrated. I think he's annoyed by the toxic masculinity. He's like, "Come on, like, women don't care about your car or how tough you are," or it seemed like he was against that whole, like, gender performance of masculinity.
Mm, maybe. I think the...
Like, I think it really is it's insecurity, I think,
Yeah,
but
I kind of bought into Joey's argument. But first, I want to backtrack and say he just shuts off this movie, and Joey reveals, "We've been watching this for an hour and a half. Whether you like it or not, I'd like to see the end." And I'm like, yeah, dude, if multiple people have been watching a movie for an hour and a half, just because you don't love the movie doesn't mean you just turn it off.
yeah.
But then as they get into it, Joey kind of lays it out as like, yeah, it's a superficial way to choose between two guys, like which has the faster car. But she's like, you don't like to think about the fact that women can also be superficial.
Mhm.
And I wasn't sure where she was going with it at first, but I was like, honestly, that's a pretty nuanced take.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, men these days are complaining about how women want, like, a certain height on a man, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's fucked up," but also, like, men all the time are like, "Oh, well, I only like a lady with long hair," or I only want a woman who's not over 150 pounds." Like, they're so triggered by, like, one thing that women are mostly in agreement on, which is height.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure it happens. I don't
Mhm.
think I've ever known, maybe I just run with a crowd of people who really aren't, who are cool, but I don't think I've ever known a woman who had like a hard, like, I won't date anyone under such and such. And it's, yeah, and it's like you said, people of all genders and sexes can be superficial, but it's just men aren't used to being the subject of it.
Yeah. I will say we kind of skipped over, and it's just a little thing of she starts fighting Dawson for the remote, and she gets on top of him, and I don't know if she's like tickling him or something. They're giggling, and then there's like this moment where they're just like, "Oh, what are we
Yeah.
doing right now?"
Yeah, that thing that you see occasionally in TV or film where friends are like play fighting and then they realize that one of them's on top of the other and well we could kiss. But then they don't.
Yep. And she says, "Well, men are superficial, so why can't women be?" But she goes into detail of, well, guys can like girls from New York with bony arms and big boobs was what stuck out to me.
Yeah, that was Joey is awfully specific, and as this episode goes on, I'm like, wait, are we all operating under the conceit that Dawson doesn't know she likes him? Are we still supposed to believe that? Maybe I don't know. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was so very specific.
Hmm. And Dawson's like, Jen doesn't. And then he like pauses. And he's like, have bony arms,
Yeah. I object to your description of her arms.
but not her boobs.
Yeah. Joey's last line is like, yeah, and you're upset because Jen won't have sex with you.
Yeah.
And I mean that comes up and that is goes on throughout the episode, but I was like, I'm sorry, if you're at any age, the sort of, oh, if you loved me, you'd have sex with me. That's, but especially at 15, it's just like, buddy, I don't know. I'm not 15 anymore, so maybe I'm not in a position to judge, but that was like, wow.
It's also messed up how I think Joey is trying to sabotage Jen and Dawson's relationship by saying, like, oh, well, she won't have sex with you. And it's messed up because it's like you're encouraging him to feel like she should put out and like that if a woman doesn't put out like quickly that means they're not really into you.
That's true. Joey is kind of actively escalating the situation. So,
Mhm.
yeah, she's not being a great friend. It's like she's using, it's just, she has all this misplaced aggression and annoyance. And
Mhm.
I don't even know that she's like consciously thinking, I'm going to sabotage this relationship. But, like, as we all do, we just sort of react to things and then we're doing a thing that we really shouldn't.
Mhm. Yeah, we see the opening credits and then we are in the hall at the high school. There's some ska music playing, so that's fun.
Yeah, I was like, 90s ska. I don't know if this is the original soundtrack or if they needed it for
Probably
licensing
not.
purposes. But they were like, yeah, it's 1998. Let's play some ska.
Mhm. And we see some woman like kind of running down the hall into a classroom. We actually really get to meet her later, but she comes into a classroom where Joey is giving a presentation on shoguns and concubines. And there's some guy in a Letterman's jacket who like compares himself to one and is just like kind of poking at Joey with like this misogynistic point of view.
Mm-hmm. I wrote down, we find out his name is Grant, and my next note after yay, ska, is just, I hate Grant. I hope he dies.
Yeah.
I hate this man. And it just made me think of like, this kind of, because the conversation and their later conversation sort of turns into this. I hadn't experienced this, but you occasionally hear about, say, a man or a boy in school saying something like, yeah, your body, my choice. That's a rape threat. That is a
Mhm.
threat of rape. And that's sort of the under. I mean, that's what's undergirding all of this is that Grant is essentially saying, yes, you as a woman, you belong to me and I can do what I want with you. And in 1998, we wouldn't really bat an eye at it, but when you really look at it, it's like that's pretty beyond the pale. That's really fucked up.
Mhm.
So hence, I hate Grant.
I do too. And it's sad that his character does feel believable. At least to women it does. I mean, I hope men agree like that they've experienced men who are like that. But it's funny that later in the episode, Abby Morgan, she is a cartoon character. I'm like, no one is this actively evil.
Yeah, I was so confused about what the. Yeah, we'll get to her more, but
Yeah.
I know what comment you're referring to, where she calls Grant a fox. It was like, oh, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just how she taunts people. I'm like, no one I don't think any real person is this good at taunting people.
Yeah, she didn't have any coherent point of view. I guess we can talk more about Abby,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that later. So next we see Dawson. seeing Jen and Pacey, I guess at Jen's locker, talking, and they seem to be kind of like really enthralled with whatever they're saying. They're laughing and all that. And Dawson doesn't hear it, but Pacey calls Dawson an Oompa Loompa, or like that he used to be called Oompa Loompa, I guess because of his short stature or something when he was younger.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting that Pacey is making fun of his friend, and like what is his motive to make fun of his friend in front of his friend's girlfriend?
Hmm.
It's not really resolved or explained. I think Pacey's just being a real jerk in this episode.
Yeah, I wrote down, is Pacey being a dick because Tamara is gone? Instead of feeling sad about that, he's just being a jerk? That was the only sort of logic I could come up with, because he did really seem to be like going out of his way to be a jerk this episode.
Hmm. Also, it didn't help that he used like the M word to describe little people.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah. I mean, I think in that time, 1998, that still wasn't like taboo.
Or it wasn't widely known that that was not acceptable.
Hmm. Okay. So once Pacey leaves, Dawson's overcompensating. He feels insecure by whatever they seem to be really enthralled with talking about. And so he says, "You look incredible today," and kisses Jen on the cheek.
Mm-hmm.
And he uses that compliment to try to get her to reveal what Pacey said to her. And she says, "Oh, I already forgot," which is clearly a lie.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, she's trying to avoid making you feel bad about yourself.
Yeah, that happened on multiple occasions in this episode where someone's like asks Jen to say something hurtful and she tries to like diffuse the situation, but then the person keeps pushing and she's like, I don't want to be a jerk.
Yeah. And they allude to the fact that it's Friday and Jen wants to go out and do something fun that weekend.
Like jump out of a plane naked.
Yeah.
That's like, she like, let's do something crazy like X, Y, or like jump out of a
Yeah.
plane naked. And Dawson looks like he's won the lottery.
Like it maybe means something else. We're next in the boys' locker room where Pacey is complaining about the cheerleaders doing splits in the gym and saying that it is a distraction, which is so relevant to today and the discussion of like why do women need to conceal themselves when like boys just can't control themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there's the fact of like fellow students being distracted, in which case, yeah, that's your problem for you to deal with, young man. But yeah, even more troubling when people bring up the possibility that a male teacher or adult man or like the uncle at Thanksgiving is going to be distracted. It was like, no, that's none of these are her fault or her problem.
And there is where Dawson confronts Pacey about what he told Jen. And Pacey, I like the comment of, "I don't talk trash, I recycle it." I don't know what that means, but
Yeah,
I,
me
I
neither.
like the phrase.
I mean, it almost sounds like I don't make up new rumors, but I spread them.
Yeah, and he won't tell Dawson. So Dawson says, "Oh, well, Jen already told me." That trick has been used before where it's like, "Well, you can just talk to me about this because, like, I already know."
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's pretty smooth, Dawson.
Hmm. And then Pacey admits to calling him Oompa Loompa, which we see that Dawson apparently is very bothered by being called that. Like he kind of explodes at Pacey.
Yeah, it this episode it makes you kind of wonder. I don't know. It's hard to say because through the first like 6 7 episodes, he thinks of himself as kind of a film nerd, but he seems like a very average guy. Like no one would really have something to pick on him about.
Hmm.
And but it's clear that being called a name at some point in his past really stuck with him. And I get that. Like, if you. I think we'll often have, like, a phrase or a name we've been called that really sets us off, but it just seemed like such a hair trigger. But then again, I don't know if they would try to sort of justify that with a flashback or a, like, memory of something really bad
Hmm.
happening, or if it's just Dawson has a low tolerance for discomfort.
Yeah. It's not really drawn on as like, oh, this is an ongoing issue with him. It just comes out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I also made note of how Pacey exits out of that scene is really awkward. Like he backs away making peace signs, and then he kind of like does like kind of this dance away with his hands and fists, and I was like, "What is this?"
I don't know. Maybe Pacey's just like, I'm not sad that my inappropriate girlfriend is gone. Everything's great. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Then we get to see Jen preparing for herself to go to detention, where her teacher, I guess it's in an English class, I'm not really sure.
Social studies, something like that.
Yeah, they have to read an article about euthanasia, and teacher calls on some random kid who's like, "Yeah, doctors shouldn't hurt people." And the teacher agrees and says that like killing people is at odds with like a doctor's duty. And this is where Jen interjects that she doesn't agree with that and that people should be able to die with dignity and doctors should help people who need help with that.
Mm-hmm.
This teacher does not respond well. He basically says, "Isn't that a euphemism for murder and suicide?"
Yeah, this teacher has got something stuck up his butt. I don't know if he's never been outside Cape Side, but he hates that she's from New York.
Yes. I know. When he says, "This isn't Times Square."
Yeah, it's like I don't know what they do in New York, but you have to raise your hand. I was like, buddy, don't act like no one in Cape Side has ever just said something in class. It was so over the top, but I know those people are
Hmm.
real. There's people who so there are
Yeah.
legitimate grievances to have with parts of the country that you feel have more power or attention. But at the same time, however you feel, don't take it out on a child that just moved here because her grandfather is actively dying, because her grandfather is suffering in a bed, and maybe she's thought about this.
I honestly have not made that connection. So that's a great point.
Yeah, she's like, man, yeah, no, if you're just stuck in bed and can't move and can't do anything, life's kind of a bitch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, she says, "Don't you think there comes a point where life isn't worth living?" And then the guy brings in God and how like I don't know, God's most precious gift is life, and that's when she says like life isn't always a gift. It's a bitch for people.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the teacher does I guess he uses the excuse of her saying bitch
Yeah.
as the reason for her to go to detention. And I guess I have some questions for you here. First of all, have you ever been in detention?
I don't think so. Did we have detention at our high school? For listeners, Miranda and I never, like, we went to the same high school, but not at the same time.
Yeah. And I thought we didn't, but I actually did go to detention.
Oh.
And the reason was really lame. I I was late for school, and I was late enough that you have to get like you have to go to the office or something like your teacher's like you have to get a note or you have to identify yourself as being tardy.
Yeah.
And so I go to wherever I'm supposed to go and I tell them my name and they're like, "Well, where's your student ID card?" And I was like, "I don't have it." Like I dug in my bag and I was like, "Look, I don't have it." And I didn't get detention for being tardy. I got detention for not carrying my student ID card on me.
That's a terrible lesson for children. Be prepared to show your papers? I guess it's preparing us now.
Yes. It was so frustrating, and honestly, I was like, "Dude, if I had just given them some random name, like, I would have not had to go to detention, it would just be under someone else's name, like."
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how they, like, made sure you went to detention, but, like, yeah, I had to go to this weird, one of those weird rooms that's like a trailer room,
Oh, the
like, it
portable
wasn't built.
buildings. Yeah,
Yeah,
now I'm
I
remembering that that's where they would do it.
yeah, and it was I had to go during lunch,
That's right.
and
They did do it at lunch. Yeah.
yeah, and so I was there, I, like, had to hand my pass to somebody who apparently was a teacher, I guess. I had never met this person, and then I just had to sit there for lunch, and
Which was like
there were other
25
kids there.
minutes.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and there were other kids there who, I don't know, some of them seemed, like, fine, and then some of them seemed like, probably do go to detention a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. I might have gone once, but it didn't make enough of an impression.
Yeah, or just being chastised by a teacher or something.
Oh yeah, I got like sent in the hall for mouthing off.
Oh, yeah, I got sent in the hall once too because I was mouthing off, or I was with, like, sitting with a group of kids who were.
Mm. Yeah, think at least once I got sent out because I was like just blatantly sleeping in class.
They're like, "Go sleep outside."
Yeah, or like I try sleeping when you have to stand up in the hallway. I don't know.
Yeah, so my next question was gonna be, do you agree with Jen's perspective on euthanasia? I figure you probably do. I think we kind of align in a lot of things that are political for some reason.
Yeah, I think. I mean, obviously, it's tough because it's no matter what, there's going to be some kind of judgment call. So there has to be some kind of standard because that's the way that medicine works.
Mhm.
Otherwise, yeah, things could get real weird. But yeah, I think that if someone has like a chronic long-term terminal illness that is making it so that their life is just like pain and waiting for death, I don't see any problem with a doctor helping them end that pain on their terms. Like there are
Mhm.
people who just know they're gonna die and they know that they're gonna be in pain until they die.
Yeah.
And that's I don't see I don't have God on my shoulder telling me that's a bad thing.
Yeah, and some people think that, like, that kind of act is selfish, and specifically when it comes to terminally ill people, it's like, do you really, like, you're doing your friends and family a favor by not having them have to watch you be in the worst pain and slowly disintegrate.
Yeah, I guess someone who would call that selfish is also the kind of person who would call any kind of suicide selfish, which is gets under my skin because I'm like, yeah, if someone's doing that, they're not in many or most cases they are not in their right mind. They are not operating at full capacity. It's like
Mhm.
why yeah, I just and if you're the one suffering and it's your life and your death and I don't know, it yeah, no, I don't think it's selfish. Obviously it's thorny and it's a tough issue that people have to make a lot of like hard judgment calls around, but I don't know. But yeah, it sounds like you're on sort of the same page.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do agree, like, I'm like, it's their life. They should have bodily autonomy.
Yeah. Wait. Is the person who wants to die a man or a woman? Because if it's a man, we gotta let him go.
But if it's a woman, she could still birth. We have to make sure that she has enough time in her life to birth a child.
Yeah. Wait, we gotta get something out of that uterus.
Yeah. I'm kind of supportive of suicide if, like, it's a long ongoing issue for someone. I'm like, I don't think kids should be able to commit suicide. I don't think people should be able to commit suicide if they're going through like some short-term terrible thing. But
Mm-hmm.
like if they're really sick or I don't know, just something like that that's never going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Why would like it's just I think it's selfish to make them stay.
Yeah.
And it's also like a thing of claiming like you know what's right for someone. Oh,
Yeah.
well, you shouldn't kill yourself cuz like that's just not right. And it's like, well, you're not really being empathetic to what they're going through and it's like you don't know what they're going through.
Yeah. And it's so much more comforting to have absolute rules and have absolute laws. And I don't know, the older I get, the more I see the world, the more I'm just like, I see why those are comforting, but most of the time that's not the best way to make decisions.
Mhm. Yeah. I definitely feel like when I grew up I saw everything as pretty black and white. And as I get older, the more I understand the gray and
Mm-hmm.
also the more I just am aware that I don't know anything. Like
Yeah.
like
Like, it's so. Yeah, that was something I learned as an adult of being like, oh no, if someone tells you what it's like to be them, you have to just believe them. You know, barring them being like a documented, repeated liar and manipulator or something. You have to just believe what people tell you about what it's like to be them because they will always be the expert in that experience.
Mhm.
This is a Dawson's Creek podcast.
Yeah, I know. It's like I'm gonna go in hard with this one about what are your thoughts on suicide and
I was like, are we going to go there? So I love it. Great.
yeah, these are some capital I issues.
Mm-hmm. Very special episode.
hmm Okay, so we're gonna move on to the cafeteria where Joey is in line for food. And some jocks cut her in line, specifically the guy who was giving her shit in class.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I just want to note that he's wearing a Letterman's jacket that says CHS, which were the initials of our high school.
That's true. That's true. Although, yeah, I don't. Well, we also we grew up in California, so you didn't need a heavy jacket a lot of the time. So I didn't know anybody who like wore their Letterman jacket every day.
Mhm.
It wasn't like a uniform, but
Joey confronts them about cutting in line, and Grant describes himself and his friends as the shoguns of the school, and that the school is like their castle, and that the women in it can either choose to be his servant or his concubine. Also, he touches her hair while he does this, so that's extra gross.
yeah, no, that's. I'm sure there's if there. I'm sure there's some super conservative person who somehow stumbled. No, there's probably not. There's probably gonna be 6 people listening to this. But should a like Fox News watcher be watching this, and they'll be just waiting for me to say this, but like that's sexual harassment. To cut in front of someone and then tell them that they can either be your servant or your sex slave
hmm
at school. That's sexual harassment, and Joey will not have it.
hmm Yeah, I mean, it's sad that sexual harassment would happen a lot in high school, but when you're at work, I mean, granted, I'm sure there's like companies where it occurs, but like when you're at work, there are real repercussions for doing sexual harassment.
Yeah. Well, also we work in California, where
That is true.
yeah, it varies.
We have a lot more like protections against or like for different classes, like even gender what do they call it? Gender
Expression.
expression.
Hmm.
Yes. Which I don't think that's anywhere else.
Yep.
Yep. But yes, you were right. Joey was not having it. She's like, I don't know, like I'm like, have you been training to beat up assholes? Cause
Yeah, there was choreography that she knew.
yeah, she was I guess she kicked him in the balls. She kicked him somewhere lower down and he goes down and then she throws her tray at the other guy, and then when the guy kind of pops back up, she punches him in the face.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was, I just wrote down, hell yeah, Joey.
Yep, and then we're gonna find out she apparently got detention for that.
Yeah, but neither of the boys got in trouble.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But also, I'm a little surprised that she didn't get like suspended for doing that.
that's true. Although that's one of those things about being socialized as a girl or being perceived as a girl or a woman is that I think they sometimes don't take any kind of violence quite as seriously.
Hmm.
Like they're, oh, how much damage can she do?
Hmm.
Whereas if a boy slugs someone in the face.
Once again, this kind of crosses into a line where I'm like, am I okay with this sexism of thinking I certainly couldn't hurt somebody?
Yeah, there's brief moments where you're like, there might be a way I can take advantage of sexism in this moment.
I mean, I don't do that really anymore. I think men sometimes, well, it's a mixed bag with my job where like I go to construction sites and I have to talk to contractors sometimes, and it's a mixed bag of either they're really nice and sweet to me because they don't want, they're worried they're gonna make me cry or something,
Yep.
or or they're more of an ass because they don't want to take direction from a woman, especially a woman that's most likely younger than them, because most of the time I am.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, sometimes in work situations you can tell a man is just being kind of weird cuz he doesn't know he doesn't usually have to work with women and you're just like I'm just a person, I promise. If you just we both want to finish this task that we have to do. I promise.
Yeah. I'm gonna go into a tangent, but when I was working for the Corps, there were so few women who like were doing the expertise jobs. Unfortunately, most of them were doing like assistant job or administrative or whatever.
Mhm.
And I, every day I went into the office, could feel myself being kind of stared at just because it's like, oh, a woman who's like in the meeting with us. And at the same time, like, every time I talked to my supervisor, I felt like he was a little afraid of me. And I think it was because, like, they really like, we had to do so many trainings. I mean, some of them were really dumb, but yeah, we had a few related to, like, sexual harassment and just power imbalance and all that stuff, which is good. But, like, I'm like, I think these men have not been worked with women enough, and they just have that don't sexually assault a woman ingrained in their head. So they're afraid to be around me because they're afraid of how they're going to act.
Yeah, and obviously not in that context, but I can identify somewhat with when you're like in an uncomfortable situation or with someone you haven't like worked with before and sort of feeling like you're stepping on eggshells because you're not sure what the boundaries are. So to an extent I can understand that, but also as a woman, it's very funny to be in that position of like I'm just a person, I promise.
Yeah. I I mean, this is probably something I need to go to therapy about, but I love it when people fear me. It makes me feel so good.
Yeah, hell yeah, good for you. I mean, I grew up playing a lot of sports and playing a lot with boys. So, I feel like by the time I got to adulthood, I was kind of desensitized to that dynamic or that dynamic of being the only woman in the room. But yeah, it's I don't know what I meant to say, but except that I felt sort of desensitized to it. But I
Yeah.
love that that brings you joy.
I'm like, be afraid, be very afraid.
You're a powerful woman.
Okay, so where were we? Right. Okay, so yeah, Joey gets in trouble.
Mhm.
Next, we see Dawson and Pacey playing basketball, which also kind of indicates to me that they must have like separate lunch times or something. Because before Joey's at lunch, we see Dawson and Pacey in the locker room, and then after the lunch scene, they're playing basketball. Not that it really matters, but just
Yeah.
okay, I guess there must be different lunch times.
Yeah, because a lot of schools do have that. I don't think
We
ours
did.
did. We did?
I think we did. We had or definitely in middle school. I don't now that I
Okay.
think about it, I think high school everyone had the same lunchtime, but for some reason in middle school not everyone had the same lunchtime. I think it was because our lunch area was too small for the whole school.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I blocked out most of high school.
I mean, yeah, I can't tell you a single person, like a single, well, that's not true. I know two teachers' names, but it's because they were highly influential on what career I ended up in. But like, I'm like, I don't remember almost any teachers' names, almost any student names, other than like the friends I was real tight with.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I guess I just didn't really want to remember.
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, this doing these recaps in this show about high school has made me go, God, I don't remember if I did that or if that was a thing. But yeah, they're playing basketball, and immediately Dawson is so sweaty.
Yeah, I like how shows are like, well, we got to make sure they have that sweat between their pecs and like a little bit down their back.
Well, also that like heather gray gym shirt, that is, I avoid wearing that because it shows sweat stains so visibly. Like I don't even want to wear that to the gym because it's just so obvious when you have the sweat stain.
Yeah. I don't need to tell people this, but I sweat so much just day to day sitting around. And so at some point, I think between middle school and high school, at some point I figured out, oh, I shouldn't wear light colored shirts that can show like my sweat stains, that my armpits are red. Which is like
Yeah.
it's one of the reasons why I think I was quote unquote goth is well black doesn't show sweat stains.
Yeah, you were like hot topic goth light. You were like no, you were like chill goth.
Not fully committed.
No, no. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, so we're seeing them play basketball. Pacey's kind of taunting Dawson. He also wants to keep playing because there's cheerleaders there and he wants their attention. He wants to like kick Dawson's ass at basketball cuz that'll somehow win him points with them.
Yeah, and from what I could gather, neither of them are basketball players. Neither of them are like on the team or trying to be on the team or talking about it.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't. If I wasn't very good at something, I wouldn't then use that as a way to impress people.
I made this note later when they're facing off in basketball again, but I wrote just two white boys trying to play basketball.
You could sort of see that that had to be a difficult. Those had to be difficult scenes to like choreograph because how do you explain? It was like, okay, so you're gonna dribble, but it seemed very chaotic.
Mhm. Yeah, the camera work was really trying to make it seem like it was something.
When it was really just two guys who can kind of dribble.
Yep. During all this, Pacey calls Dawson Oompa Loompa again.
Mm-hmm.
Dawson has what I would say a shit fit. Uh, he throws the basketball into Pacey's face.
Yep. Full throws it as hard as he can directly at Pacey's face.
Hmm. And I will say that did get the girl's attention.
Yeah, that's so in the end, Pacey did get what he wanted. But I did notice there was this moment, I think James Vanderbeek did a pretty good job acting that scene because he was so clearly angry. And then there's a moment where he realizes what he's done and he clearly is like, "Oh god, what have I done?" And then he kind of covers it up and settles back into kind of just sulking. So I thought that was He showed more depth than I expected in that reaction.
Mhm.
Because, I mean, we've all had those moments where we, lose our temper or say something off the handle, and then there's that moment when you're like, oh God, I did that. I really did that. I said that. I can't take it back.
I don't know how to backtrack. I don't know how to backpedal this.
How do I hit rewind on my life?
Yeah. So, yep, Dawson gets detention.
Mm-hmm.
From that, the coach is like, "You're getting detention."
Yeah, which I feel like there would have been a bit more fact finding before you get to that, but I guess that, we only have so many minutes in the show.
Yeah. Okay. Do you mind if we pause for a second?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna be right back.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry for pausing.
My friend who just had a baby just sent me a picture of her newborn baby next to a burrito.
Didn't one of your other friends do that?
Maybe.
Oh no, I'm thinking of the time one of your friends was holding their baby and was opening their mouth like they were going to eat their baby, and their baby was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah. No. Just like for comparison, baby compared to burrito. Anyway, that just came in like while you were walking away.
Yeah.
So, now we know that Jen, Dawson, and Joey all have detention.
Mhm. Um, let's see. Hold on.
Let me. I had a friend text. Let me text him back. Real quick. It's not even about the baby. He was like, do you want to do something afterwards? And it was like, maybe. I told you how I've recently become kind of a supplement person who takes like vitamin D and iron every morning. I'm becoming a protein person. And I'm
You're
so
eating like
ashamed.
protein powder.
Yeah, I've been making smoothie bowls with protein powder, and I bought fucking protein bars from Costco, and I kind of feel better when I eat protein, because I don't eat a lot of meat, and I think I genuinely was not eating much protein.
I had the same problem. I think I had some blood work, and my doctor was like, "Do you eat much protein?" I was like, "Well, I never keep meat in my house because I'm too lazy to prepare it, so
Same.
not really." So now I try to make an effort of like every meal I have has to have some kind of protein, even if it's cheese or milk, like something that's not super great.
Yeah.
If it's got protein, it's good for me.
Yeah. Being children who grew up in the 90s, raised on like frozen chicken patties, I feel like we've had a very slow journey towards feeding ourselves.
I've thought about buying protein powder, but it's so expensive, even at Costco. I'm like, I don't want to pay $40 for some powder that doesn't even taste good.
Yeah, it is kind of yeah.
Yeah, I should make more of an effort. Anyway, I'm
Anyway,
wondering if we should make this like outtakes at the end,
yeah,
talking about protein powder,
yeah,
or just leave it in exactly where it is. And
yeah. Did you know our bodies need nutrients?
I mean, I kind of like podcasts where people talk about like their lives a little bit too.
Yeah, that's a thing to feel out. I don't know how. Yeah, I feel like I'm willing to get as deep as protein powder.
Hmm. I think maybe I'm interesting enough to create a parasocial relationship with somebody.
I think you are.
Okay. Are you ready to get back to what we're supposed to be doing?
Let's go. Jen and Dawson are walking in on Saturday morning.
Hmm. And Dawson's complaining about them having to be there. So unfair. And Jen's like, No, you should be here. I shouldn't be here, but you should be here."
Yeah, she was like, "You broke his nose, dude."
Yeah, and so they walk into the library, and there Pacey is with what looks like a nose strip and then bad black eye makeup.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I suppose if he got hit, that's very possible. That's if he got hit hard
Hmm.
enough in the nose. And then I'm not sure what the strips. Maybe it split the skin. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it looked like one of those. It just also like the positioning of it made it look like one of those nose strips you sleep with.
Yeah.
If his nose was broken, he would not be in detention the next day. I don't know. I mean, I guess you're not in the hospital for a long time, if at all.
Yeah, that's the thing about like noses in schools and gym is there's noses are one of those things that like unless you really mess it up, the treatment is just ice it and wait. And then and at this point in the show, in the episode, we don't know why he would be there.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah, they ask why he's in detention, and he says it's a long story.
Mm.
And Jen says something that is kind of interesting here. She says, "Oh, it's just you and me and Pacey. Just we're just going to be doing nothing today, like we do every Saturday." And I was like, "Is that passive aggression? She is frustrated that her and Dawson aren't doing more exciting things, or is she just trying to cheer them up? Like, hey, this won't be any different than usual. It's not that bad."
Yeah, it was. It did make me think. Was that a little passive aggressive? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Just a weird thing that I don't think we really get to understand what it meant.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we hear some woman arguing with some other woman in the background.
Hmm.
And Pacey and Dawson are like, "Oh no." And Jen's like, "What? What's happening?" And they're like, "It's Abby Morgan." And Dawson says, "She's the girl from hell."
Yeah, and then I'm immediately like, why do we hate Abby? And then my very next note is, okay, she kind of sucks.
Yeah. They're not trying to make her nuanced. They're like, "She's the villain here."
Yeah, except there wasn't. The thing I struggled with is that does she hate everyone? Is there anyone? Does she have any friends? Does she have like a reason she's being mean to them? Is it was just no, she just hates everyone? I don't. Give me some backstory, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't. I will say she's not a one-off. She will be in some future episodes. So we get to
Okay.
maybe know her a little better. I don't know. You can decide that when we see.
Yeah, they made one offhand comment about her being like a country club kid.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was Pacey who said that.
Hmm.
Yeah, she's complaining to what we find out as the librarian that she could be doing better things if she wasn't there, like picking up trash or helping old people or something.
As you do.
Yeah, and then she walks in and sees Dawson, Pacey, and Jen, and she says, "Oh, it's howdy doody time." I'm like, "What the hell does that mean? I don't know what that means." Do you?
I've heard that before. Like howdy doody time. I guess that means I've always taken it to mean like kind of oh you're goody goody cheesy. I'm looking it up.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm gonna look it up right now.
Howdy doody time insult. Uh okay. Sometimes patronizing suggests something that's childish, silly, or old fashioned.
Okay, so she just thinks they're like uncool and not edgy.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, yeah, so she keeps complaining, and the librarian just straight up tells her to shut up.
Yeah. This librarian, like, I was like, I can't decide if I love you or hate you.
Yeah. So she tells Abby to shut up, and then the librarian says detention is about penance.
Which is like, great. Love it when you bring God into schools.
Yeah. They really Jen should have been reporting this stuff. But then again, late 90s. I mean, even now, now it's turning around too, where it's like we should talk about God in school.
Great, if I can talk about all the other gods, sure.
Yeah. When the librarian's chastising, I don't know, being mean to them, Joey comes in and she's like, "Is this some kind of surprise party?"
She's like, why is everybody I know here?
Yeah. Yeah, and the librarian says, "After 8 hours, you're going to be like family."
Oh God,
Which
family in the way that like corporations are families.
this is kind of the setup of this is going to be a bottle episode. It's kind of the same as the hurricane episode where everyone's in one place and they have to confront each other with all the
Mm-hmm.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, Abby responds to, "You'll be like family." She said, "We're going to murder each other."
Which statistically, it's done by family.
Yep. And the librarian says, "Well, just don't get any blood on the books."
Which is like, yeah. I mean, why do two bad things?
Hmm. Yeah, like schools can afford new books.
Yeah, come on. They got kids out the wazoo.
I think the librarian leaves at that point, and Abby starts making the rounds, just proving how cruel and how much of a shit stirrer she is.
Mm-hmm.
She's insults Pacey and Dawson. Oh, she says to Pacey, "Are you going to make up another story about hooking up with a teacher?" And Dawson
Yeah.
just kind of looks at him like, "I'm not really happy with you now." I'm surprised. It was very kind of him to not sell him out, but that's a whole nother can of worms, and this episode's already chock full of can of worms.
Yeah. And that's they're like, no, we just closed that chapter. We can't open it up again. We just can't.
Everyone asks why Jen is in detention. She said bitch in class, and she complains that the teacher has a small town mentality, and so many people here do. To which really upsets Joey and
Yeah,
says,
yeah.
"Oh, it must be so hard for you to be around us simpletons."
And Jen is like, this is why I try to be so nice, because everyone's just waiting for me to do something wrong. It was
Mhm.
not a smart thing to say, but it was also
Mm-mm.
like, that is also basically what happened to her, is that a man whose identity is wrapped up in a small town was mad at her for not being from there.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say as a Californian, and we have a lot of family in Pennsylvania. Like the times we go there, I kind of try not to be like, "Well, in California."
Yeah.
I don't want to be an ass. Like I'm like, "Is California better?" Absolutely. Do they need to hear that? No.
No.
That's not going to make them like me more.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you or I have brought up being from California in almost every episode, so sorry if that's becoming our thing now.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
Most of the situations, it's been commenting on what high school is like, and I feel like that's a topic of conversation that comes up in
Undoubtedly with teen shows, yeah.
yeah with teen shows, and it really does vary by region and size of city. It varies a lot in the United States. If we talk about our experience, our like one listener who's not in the United States, I feel a responsibility to explain that this is really only representative of our experience in California.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Yeah, somehow we have become two California girls watch Dawson's Creek, the podcast.
I mean, I'm sure there's people doing podcasts about Veronica Mars or like the OC, and they're like, "Well, in Massachusetts, we don't eat lunch outside."
Maybe. Just, it felt like it has come up a lot, just wanted to acknowledge it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's discord between Jen and Joey.
Yeah, and then Abby tries to stir up crap with Joey by saying, "How'd you get in here? Although I'm not surprised that incarceration runs in your family."
Yeah, jeez, man. Because her dad's in prison.
Yeah, that's just something you don't bring up.
Just so needlessly mean.
I know.
Yeah.
Hurt
I don't,
people hurt people.
who hurt Abby?
I don't know. It's kind of interesting now that I think about it, because when she comes after Joey, Jen calls her a bitch,
Hmm.
versus when she came after Jen, I mean, Joey got defensive with Jen, and
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if there's something to be seen about that, but yeah, Jen calls her a bitch. And in response, Abby says, "All right, Miss Big Apple." And I'm like, can they just stop? Can they stop with this? Like,
Yeah, I feel like it's sort of I don't. There's some parallel here because somehow everyone is making Jen's whole identity New York City.
I haven't seen her wear a I Heart New York shirt. Like,
Yeah, I haven't seen her walk around with that little blue coffee cup they had in the '90s in New York.
I'm sorry, what? I don't know what that is.
Oh, I feel like it used to be a thing in TV and film. There was a little whenever something was in New York, all the coffee cups would be like this same little blue coffee cup. I'm gonna look this up. Coffee cup, New York. I feel like I saw it on Seinfeld a lot.
Oh.
Okay, the oh here it is. The Inthora is a design for a disposable paper cup that's heavily associated with New York City. It's linked to a Greek-owned coffee shop in New York.
Oh.
So that, but
Okay.
yes, this is not helpful because it was never in Dawson's Creek.
No, I like the reference though. That's good to know. I'm like, I don't think I've seen that cup. I'll have to look it up to see what it looks like. Everyone asks Joey why she's there, and she says that she basically sucker punched Grant.
Yeah, and that's when Abby's like, "But he's such a fox."
Yeah. And I'm not sure if she believes that or if she's saying that ironically or like sarcastically. It's I don't know. So
Mm-hmm.
Abby is asked why she's in detention, and she is like, "Well, have you ever heard about boys' locker room? And have you heard of ecstasy and an orgy?" And
Yeah, it's just like, are any of you believing this? Come on, guys.
which later we find out it seems like they did, which is just I'm pretty sure you would hear about an orgy happening at school.
Yeah, by definition, an orgy is gonna have multiple participants, and one of them's gonna say something.
Mhm. Yeah, so they keep showing us the clock to show like time going by between these scenes because they're in the same place every time. Um,
Yeah,
and so it pulls away to show Dawson looking at the clock and saying, "This is so Breakfast Club."
yeah, yeah, and I sort of is.
Yeah, I think it is a love letter to the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, and this leads us to the moment when the show acknowledges that Joshua Jackson, who plays Pacey, is the star of all three Mighty Ducks movies, and because he references Emilio Estevez, who was in The Breakfast Club, and so Pacey's like, yeah, the guy that he did all those Ducks movies.
Mhm.
And this is maybe my one opportunity to point out the dramatic character shift of Joshua Jackson's character between D2 The Mighty Ducks and D3 The Mighty Ducks. Because in D1 and D2, he's just the perfect, sweet little angel boy who would do anything for the team. He will sacrifice himself. He has no ego. But in the third movie, he's a teenage dick. And he's just needlessly arguing and causing problems and being a jerk, and I need to know what happened to Charlie in between the second and third movie. Okay, end of rant.
Yeah. Allison's really into those movies because she's played ice hockey for a very long time.
Yeah, they were influential movies in the '90s.
Mhm.
But yeah, so they acknowledge that, and then Jen mentions like someone she knows knowing someone, something Ali Sheedy, who's in the movie too. And then someone takes, I think it was Abby, who was like, "We get it, you're from New York."
Joey's like, "Oh, you think you're so glamorous." Which I do also want to go back to the Breakfast Club comment because two things we skipped over was that like Jen's like, "What is that movie again?" And Dawson's like, "Oh, you know, it had this actor and this actor, like all of them faded into TV obscurity." And that's when like Pacey comes in and is like, "Oh, those duck movies from Emilio Estevez." Anyway, but I first of all, very mean to those actors to
Yeah,
say that.
not very nice.
But also, I'm like, when they were reading the script, do you think the core four were like, is that going to be us?
I don't know. I don't. I mean, they were already in television, so I don't know. I think I think the phrase is that TV makes you money, movies make you famous, theater makes you good at acting.
Oh,
So
that sounds right.
anyway, so I don't know if these teen actors were or these young adult actors were seeing their own careers flash before their eyes.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? This brings up a good point that I know some trivia, granted. I don't do deep research. I read something and I'm like, "Yep, that's probably true." So no one quote me on anything. Um
Okay.
but there were certain times in the show that apparently Michelle Williams was bothered by like some episodes she just wouldn't be in at all at certain points. And she was getting worried that she wasn't so prevalent in the show constantly.
And Michelle Williams plays Jen, right?
Yes, I should clarify that. Thank you. And apparently, James Vanderbeek, who plays Dawson, consoled her by saying, like, you won't be so attached to the show as like I am. Therefore, like in the future, it will like this show won't follow you as heavily as it will follow me, which I do think is true.
Yeah. Also, Michelle Williams was at a disadvantage because there's a member of Destiny's Child whose name is Michelle Williams.
Yeah, that's
And
really
that's hard.
tough.
Yeah, and that's hard to compete with.
Yeah, there's no one who has the name James Vanderbeek.
Nope. Only him.
hmm All right, so we see the librarian watching soaps.
Yep, that was her important video work.
Yes, yes. And Abby comes out to say, I need to go to the bathroom. And so they all get to go to the bathroom. Dawson and Pacey are peeing at the urinals, just kind of giving each other weird looks.
Yeah.
And in the girls' bathroom, Abby says, the four of you have some weird sexual tension going on.
Mm. Yep.
Yeah, and it's weird that it's just that. It's just a little snippet of her saying that. Like, I was like, it's kind of weird that, like, neither of them respond in the stalls. Like, it feels like maybe there was more to that scene, but they just, like, cut it out. I don't know.
Yeah. I also don't love people talking to me when I'm in the stall. Like sometimes you
Yeah.
walk in at the same into the bathroom at the same time as someone and it's just like in my mind, when I'm in the stall, we stop talking.
Yeah, it's kind of the thing of, I want to pretend like you can't hear me in here and you can't hear me peeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Although
yeah.
I have done that with, like, close friends.
Yeah.
We'll go into the bathroom and not, like, full conversation, but we'll be, like, chit-chatting a little bit. I
Yeah.
don't know.
It's different if it's someone you're really close to versus like
Yeah.
a coworker.
Yes. That's the worst is jobs where you have to sit in like, you have a communal bathroom.
Just,
I hate that.
I can't let these people know that I have a human body.
Yep, that's how I feel. Uh, so Pacey comes at Abby saying, I don't know. God, I don't remember.
Somehow we
But
get to truth or dare.
yeah, I will say, like, right before that, she's like, "Oh, I'd never hook up with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer because of his face."
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, you're not gonna let Rudolph join in your perverted reindeer games."
Yeah, that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, she's like, "We should play a game." And he's like, "What? Pin the tail in the hoe bag?" I'm just like,
Yeah.
Pacey's really mean about women in this episode.
Pacey is on one in this episode. Pacey is like I guess I can only assume it's all the misplaced feelings from what happened with Tamara.
Mhm.
But he's just and then, you know, and then now he's in a fight with his best friend and yeah,
Yeah.
he's coming in hot.
Mhm. Yeah, so then Abby comes up with the idea of we should play truth or dare.
Mhm.
And she kind of wins everyone over into doing this by asking Pacey, asking him for the truth of, so how did you get in here? Why
Mm.
are you here? And then he's like, actually, I'll do dare. To
Mm-hmm.
which Abby says, I dare you to kiss Jen on the lips for 10 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Joey seemed really supportive of this dare. Yeah, she goes back and forth between being like, I'm so in love with Dawson and I would do anything for him, but then also being his biggest adversary at the same time. Like she just doesn't know what side she wants to be on.
She is very much like on Dawson's side, except on the issue of Jen.
Yeah.
So yeah, they do that, and then they do like the handing down of the truth or dare, and then it's Joey kisses Dawson.
Yeah, because after the kiss is over, Pacey. Oh, also, I wanted to mention he's making out with Jen, and I'm like, dude, isn't your nose hurting? Like, I don't think you could really like make out with a broken nose.
I mean, no, if you're careful, no, I'll be fine. I don't
I
know.
guess.
I don't know the state of Pacey's face.
Hmm. Yeah, he turns on Joey and asks, "Who do you like?" And she's
Mm.
like, "What do you mean, who do I like?" And he's like, "Who are you in love with?" And then he just like stares at Dawson.
Yeah, and that's the point at which I'm like, we're all on the same page, right? We all know she
Yeah,
likes Dawson. I feel like this has been established.
I know. It feels like everyone knows, but then like we're not clear on if Dawson knows. It's just
And I
so
feel like people
strange.
have been pretty clear with Dawson. I feel like, I don't know, Dawson's not picking it up, I guess.
Yeah, or he just doesn't like want to admit it or deal with it or doesn't know how to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or maybe I don't think this is it, but I was like, he could be sinister like some guys and just kind of leave her hanging in case he wants her in the future. Like, I don't think that's it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after Pacey asks her, "Who are you in love with?" she's like, "Actually, like, I want to do a dare." To which Pacey dares her to kiss Dawson. And they are like, "Oh." Even Jen is like, "Oh,
um,
nah."
ooh.
They start to kiss. Some music comes on like it's a special moment. It is kind of a bummer that when they finally do kiss, it's them doing a dare. Like that's kind of a
Yeah.
bummer. Like they kind of threw that away. Um
Yeah.
but also you can tell from that kiss versus Pacey and Jen's kiss that it's like a lot more tender. Their eyes are closed the whole time because I know when Pacey was kissing Jen, Pacey's like looking at Dawson like, okay, this is happening.
I hope you don't hit me in the face again.
Like, yeah, it's just a weird moment for everybody.
Yeah, and what I kept thinking throughout the whole Truth or Dare game was just any one of you could just refuse. Any one of you could just say, I'm not gonna do this. Anyone could make this stop.
I know how some teenagers are so afraid of going against the grain that they are worried they'll be ostracized from their group if they don't go along with everything. But I'm like that I don't feel like that's what's happening here. I think the writers were just like, it's easier if they're just all going along with it.
Yeah.
Joey finally gets to be the one in charge of Truth or Dare after that kiss. And she turns to Jen, who says she wants to do truth. And she asks Jen, "Is Dawson the one in the school that you're most attracted to?" To which she's like, "I like him the most." And Joey's like, "I didn't say that. I said, is he the one you're most attracted to?" And
Yeah.
Jen kind of stalls a little bit. And then Joey's like, "Do you lust for him?"
Yeah, this is.
Yeah. And at this point, Dawson's like, "Yeah, do you?"
Yeah, it was just like, I just wanted all of them to just walk away. I was just like, why, guys? It was. And that was another moment of Jen being like, I don't want to hurt anyone, and I don't. I just want to not
Mhm.
be doing this. No one
Yeah.
will let me remove myself from this.
Mhm.
And Dawson's, having a losing his mind.
He's having a crisis of confidence.
Yeah.
After some hesitation from Jen, she's like, "Yeah, of course. I lust for Dawson. He's the guy." It's like, and it feels like she kind of is lying, and she's just kind of like, "Here, this is what everyone wants to hear." So this is what, well, maybe not what Joey wants to hear, but
Yeah.
yeah, she just wants it to be over with.
Mm-hmm.
But then she says, after like seeing Joey really happy with what she did by asking that question, Jen is like, maybe if you stopped dwelling on me and Dawson, you'd have a boyfriend of your own.
Mm.
Which, I
Shots
mean,
fired.
yeah, there's a couple times in this episode where I'm like, whoo, hoo, oh my God. Just
Yeah, they're.
like,
This is. Everybody is saying things.
mhm. Yeah, and Joey's like, you're crazy, like, get over yourself. And there was also a moment where I guess I think it was Abby who was like, "What are you, a lesbian for not being into like dudes?" And Joey's like, "I wish I was a lesbian."
Yeah, which like doesn't that it's
Yeah.
in this day and age especially, you're just like sometimes I wish maybe. I don't know. Grass is greener and all that, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
I that was a pretty evolved take for 1998.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I don't think people were openly saying that at the time.
Yeah. These days every other woman would be like, god if only.
Yeah. If only.
Sorry guys, there's just you got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. It's not all men, but there's enough of them that pretty much all women feel the same way.
Yeah.
Dawson tries to get everyone to change the topic by saying like it's time for a jailbreak. They
Mhm.
all go and escape from the library. They get past the librarian who's watching her soaps,
Mhm.
and Jen comes up with the idea to play guess my butt,
Oh my god. Yeah. I was like, "What?"
which
Y-
honestly kind of sounds like a fun game, except for the part where you have to pull down your pants in front of people and sit on the Xerox machine.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like this isn't gonna de-escalate the sexual tension. I don't. But yeah, that's a
Yeah.
kind of little brief moment of levity. And is that the
Mhm.
moment? Is that when we finally get Dawson's comment about Pacey thinking he's Wilt Chamberlain?
Yeah, because when they're trying to pick out whose butt is whose, Jen's like, "Oh, well, this is definitely Pacey's butt." And then I think it was Dawson who was like, "Well, how would you know?" And she's like, "I can just tell." And
Yeah.
then Pacey irks him by saying, "Yeah, dude, she's checked it out."
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And Dawson is like, God, he has sex one time and he thinks he's Wilt Chamberlain, which is like a dual. It works because yeah, a the basketball and also Wilt Chamberlain was famous for having sex with like 1,000 women.
yeah. And yeah, so Pacey, once they start talking about this, Pacey says Dawson is jealous of him and he calls him Oompa Loompa again.
Mm-hmm.
Pacey says he's not good at basketball or whatever, and that's why he doesn't want to play basketball against him again,
Mm-hmm.
and calls him a Oompa Loompa, to which Dawson says, well, you're not even good at anything.
And it and like yeah, that's one of those mean things that yeah, that's that moment where you say the thing that you know will hurt them because that's a thing he said about himself in the past that he's like doesn't stand out for anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, Dawson says that he didn't lose that basketball game, to
Yeah.
which is what leads them to going and playing basketball again.
When neither of them are good at basketball.
Yes, yes. And Pacey takes his shirt off for some reason, like that'll make him better at basketball.
Yeah, and for a moment I was like, why is he? Because shirts and skins is a thing, particularly in men's basketball, is to differentiate
You don't
teams.
Yeah,
But
you don't need that when it's one on one.
you don't need it because if whatever if it's the other person, they're on the other team. The other team is them. So I spared a thought to be like, was that Joshua Jackson's idea? Was that the show's idea to throw a bone to the teen girl audience? I don't know.
It's not like beefed, but I
Looks
mean,
like a
maybe.
kid, a 15-year-old. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just, yeah, but I did ask, so why is he shirtless? And then neither of them are good at basketball.
Yeah, and the part of the deal of playing the basketball is that if Dawson wins, Pacey has to tell him why he got detention.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just two white boys playing basketball, and the girls are sitting on the bleachers, not really watching them, or
Mm-hmm.
just kind of critiquing how bad they are, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And Dawson is sweating.
Yep. I think it was Joey that says, "Why do boys compete over everything?" And Abby says, "Oh yeah, us sisters never compete over anything."
Yeah.
And then at some point, Pacey and Dawson are on the ground wrestling. Like, okay, that's not how basketball works, but all right. Uh, while the women are having like a bonding moment of aren't men dumb, then Joey's like, "Oh, don't you want to like go get your pom poms and cheer your man on?" And Jen has had it. She's like, "I'm tired of tiptoeing around." And she says, "I give up. You win. I try to get you to like me, but there's nothing I can do to get you to like me. Is it? Are there? Is there?"
And Joey just has this horrified look of like, oh no, I won.
Oh no, I was called out.
Oh no, we're acknowledging my behavior.
Yes. She's not letting me get away with it right now.
And then it was kind of the same as with Dawson, where it's like Jen seems to not know why Joey doesn't. Jen, you know that she likes. Don't you know? It is unclear to me who
Yeah.
knows what.
Yeah, I mean, I think she knows why, but I think she's just and she could be totally wrong, but I think she thinks if she was in Joey's shoes, she would be upset, sure, to not be with Dawson, but like she wouldn't be an ass to Joey, you know.
Yeah.
I think Jen thinks she would be a better person in the scenario that Joey's in.
Yeah. And I think Joey just. It seems like Joey just doesn't have a lot of. It seems like there's so much going on in her life, and there has been so much going on in her life that she just doesn't have the time and space to really deal with this. To like kind of mature with it. She's so in survival mode and trying to just keep things together in her life that she just does not have the time and space to kind of get through this.
Yeah. Jen says, "Yeah, your catty comments aren't lost on me. What did I do? Like, all I
Mm-hmm.
ever did was try to be your friend,"
Mm-hmm.
which is like such a quote. Like, I feel like that's all I ever did was try to be your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Abby says, "You guys can't be friends if you're in love with the same person.
Yeah.
Or if you're fighting over the same guy, not in love, because let's be real."
Yeah.
Who tells Joey, "Oh, you're in love with Dawson"? I think it was Jen.
I don't.
Oh, no, it was Abby, because then Abby says, "Don't bullshit me. I saw a kiss that could set the Atlantic Ocean on fire."
It's like, okay, Abby.
I was like an oil spill? Because that
Yeah.
did happen one time.
I believe that was the Pacific. Probably it's probably happened in both. It's probably happened in both,
Could be both.
to be honest.
That was such a end of times moment. Like, water is on fire.
Yeah. I'm so tired of end of times moments. I'm tired of it. I would like to order some precedented time.
Abby leaves once she's called Joey out, and Joey seems to be starting her mental breakdown.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes Jen, I don't want to say feel sorry or pity, but it made her softer towards Joey
Mhm.
and was trying to get her to talk about it. And she's like, "I don't want to talk about it." And Jen is like, I understand. Like, I understand how you're feeling. And then Joey's like, "Why do you have to be so nice?" It'd be
Yeah.
so much easier if you were a total wench.
Yeah, a wench, because I don't know, we used up our supply of the word bitch already. That's probably what it was. They could only get a
Yeah.
couple of uses.
Hmm. Yeah, there's just so many quotable things in this episode. So this moment is interrupted by Abby being like, "Oh crap, we need to get back to the library. She's almost done with her soap opera."
Hmm.
And so they all race back to the library and they do the thing which I think is in the Breakfast Club where they run past the turn they need to make and then they slide back and make the
Yeah.
run down the hall. And I was like, that's cute.
Yeah, that was their little homage.
Yeah. And they get there with the library just waiting. It's like, where have you
Yep.
been?
Yep.
And then Abby's like, we were hungry.
Yeah. Just
And then she's like, you went to the gym to eat a basketball?
which like that was pretty good.
Yeah, and then I was like, "So, I hope someone told her they were at the gym, otherwise, how did she know?"
I don't know.
Um, yeah, but as punishment, the librarian dumps a bunch of cards out, and they have to organize them alphabetically.
Hmm.
And another thing that they wrote in to make the librarian seem like, I guess, very librarian and kind of a square is like, she's like, "Are you all hip to my lingo?"
Yep.
So we cut away and cut back, and they're finishing organizing all the cards. And then the librarian comes back in. Abby grabs them and is like, "You look, we did
Yeah,
it."
while not doing any of the work.
Mhm. And then the librarian spills the beans about why she's in detention, and it was because of excessive tardies.
Not an orgy on the boys' locker room floor with ecstasy.
It's not euphoria.
No.
Yeah, and Pacey says, "Oh, I should have known that you were just doing that old school slut routine." I'm just like, "What? What? Why are you so mean?" I,
It's so weird. There's so much happening.
yeah. Yeah, and then Pacey, I think, is coaxed again, and he deflects and is like, "Well, why is Dawson so on my case? It's like you think I'm gonna steal your girlfriend."
Hmm.
And then Dawson says, "Oh, you do anything for sex." And Jen and Pacey say that you don't have to worry about us. We weren't into that kiss. We didn't like each other. Like, it's
Yeah.
fine. And then Dawson admits to being insecure about the fact that he's not an athlete and he's not sexually experienced. And then I wrote this down word for word. I'm a virgin, okay? I'm not some big sex stud like you.
Just I and I just remember thinking it is not required of you to make a speech, sir. We don't need all of this. We all know you're insecure.
Yeah, I wrote that down later where I was like, all these conversations probably should have been had in private.
Yeah, that was my takeaways. Is my I have another note that just everyone is here, listening. Everyone's
especially
listening.
especially Abby, who does not seem like a good person who's gonna keep all this shit a secret.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially when Pacey's like swearing everyone to secrecy, and he looks at her, and I'm just like, why are you telling this to her?
And then she's like, "I swear," and then she crosses her fingers as he looks
Yeah, like come on, dude.
away. And yep, so he is a fun story.
Yep.
He's like, "Well, when I broke my nose, the cheerleaders were being really, really friendly, and I got a little excited." And then Joey's face in the background is just like, "Oh no."
No.
So disappointed.
Oh no.
And he's like, "So I went into the bathroom to relieve the tension,
Yeah.
and the coach came in to check in on my nose." And then Abby's like, "He saw a lot more than your nose, didn't he?"
Yeah, and that's oof. I just feel for everyone involved in that scene.
Yeah. And then I want to know what specifically got him into detention. Because, like,
I think masturbating at school, I think that'll do it.
really, I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, is it gross? Absolutely. But I don't know. That feels not very sex positive. I was like,
It's-
it could
it
just
was
be like somehow, I mean, somehow the coach did see all this. So maybe he got in detention for being in a place where he could be seen with his dick out, basically. Like,
I
I
think
don't know. It's probably just the whole thing.
yeah, I don't think I have no doubt that that would result in something.
Yeah,
Whatever they
sex
chose to write down.
positivity.
That's not a
Sex
thing in
positivity.
1998, Miranda. Why are you
Nope.
assuming it's not a thing in most public schools now? You
Yeah.
and your freaking Bay Area, California ideas.
I will admit that when I was in college, I knew quite a few non-binary people. I knew a friend of a friend was polyamorous and in a polyamorous relationship. So I'm from New York.
You're, yeah, we're crazy. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Hippy dippy.
All right. So, yeah, Pacey admits to all that because he feels bad for Dawson, and he's like, "Look, I'm no sex stud." And he says to Dawson, "At least you have a girlfriend. I got nothing left."
Yeah,
Which,
now that my 36-year-old abuser has left.
yeah. And then, I mean, Abby is so annoying, but she was like, you have your hand."
Yep. You have your
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah, and then Dawson relents, like he's not mad at Pacey anymore, and then he's like, it's just feels like Jen doesn't want me.
Oh my god. And I'm like, why are we having this conversation in front of everyone?
I
Why
know.
why is everyone part of this conversation? Why don't you and Jen go somewhere and talk? Why doesn't anybody do literally anything other than what's happening?
Yeah. Yes, no, the whole ending of this episode is just so cringe and uncomfortable to watch.
My last note is just so uncomfortable.
Mhm. But yeah, he says to her, "I want you to want me." To which I'm like, "I want
Want
you to
you to
want
want
me."
me. Like, dude.
Yeah. And
Ugh.
then Jen is such a sweetie to him. She's like, "You're my godsend." It feels like everyone here hates me and like she doesn't know why. And I can feel for her. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it sucks when it feels like everyone's against you, even if it's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's like, "Yeah, my life here has felt just like one great big detention. I can't escape." And I was like, "Okay, I could have done without that line."
All
Um,
right.
yeah. But so they are having a sweet moment. All the while, it's kind of cutting back and forth between them and like Joey's face of just like totally heartbroken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's dying
And
inside.
Dawson says, "I don't want to pressure you to do anything you don't want. Like, I know we're going slow." And then he's like, "But it's not like I haven't thought about us being together, having sex like a bunch of times." And that's the killer, I think, the dagger in the heart for Joey.
Yeah, that's just buddy, you don't need to say all these things in front of everyone. Sometimes we have messages that are for very specific audiences.
Mhm. Yeah.
Just it's not a tiny library. Go find a corner. And then they like notice that Joey exists.
Yeah, so Dawson apologizes to Pacey. Pacey apologizes to him for calling him Oompa Loompa. And then Dawson says, sorry, I have like so many pages of notes. Dawson says, or Pacey says, "Yeah, I know I'm a screw up." And Dawson says, "No, you're not a screw up," which is a lot nicer than what he said earlier of like, "You're not good at anything."
Yeah.
But then Joey is like, "When did everyone become so obsessed with sex?" Which is such a callback to like that episode where Dawson says almost the exact same thing to his father.
Yeah. And it's like, and it's not even Joey, it's not that everyone's obsessed with sex. It's that you like someone, but sex feels like an easier topic to talk about.
Yeah, why does everyone else have somebody except me?
Yeah.
Yeah, she says like even Dawson like you'll have sex but I'll be the friend that goes to the grave as a virgin and I'm like, "Okay, come on."
Oh my gosh, that rich kid with the boat would totally have had sex with you.
Yeah, he had a whole boat for you to have sex on and you blew it.
He took her to like basically a private island.
I know. Granted, I wouldn't want to have sex in sand. That would be
Yeah, no.
ugh.
No, thank you.
That's a sensory nightmare.
But yeah, so then finally, sort of the spotlight shifts to Joey, and Dawson's like, "You can
Mhm.
tell me anything."
Yeah, he says you'll find the right person and then she's like, "I have."
And it's like, okay, so we're saying it out loud. So we all know, right? No one can possibly not know that Joey likes Dawson.
Yeah. You would think.
One would
Then
think.
it cuts to Jen's face, and like you can be like, "Oh, here we go. I don't want to be here for this." And like, is this gonna change? She's not thrilled about the conversation that's happening right now.
Yeah.
And Dawson comes and sits next to Joey and tries to console her. And Joey's like, "I have all these feelings, and I can't say it. I don't know how to say it."
Yeah, she's in that. She's just in full meltdown mode, which is like
Yeah.
it's so hard to watch because she's. On the one hand, it's just like it's painful to watch and to consider anyone being in that position, but it also made me think of that Saved by the Bell episode where the one girl is like doing drugs and she's just having a panic attack, going like, "I'm so excited! I'm so excited!"
I don't know that. I'm so glad you have that background.
It's yeah, it's like a famous, very special episode on Saved
Mhm.
by the Bell where she's doing speed for something, I don't remember what, but she's just having this meltdown, and it just made me think of that because Joey was just, ugh, poor girl was having a full breakdown.
Yeah, she said, "I feel really alone," or whatever, and then Dawson's like, "I'm here for you.
Yeah,
Maybe if you say the things out loud, they'll be out in the open." It's
yeah,
like she doesn't need to say them. Everybody knows.
yeah. Everyone knows. Why can't we? Well, but it is. On the other hand, there are those situations where everyone kind of knows something, but as long as no one says it out loud, it we don't have to acknowledge it. We don't have to like deal with it. As long
Yeah.
as it stays this unspoken thing that we all kind of know, we all have plausible deniability and we can pretend that we don't know it.
Hmm. Yeah. It cuts to like almost everyone's face where you really everyone feels sorry for her. It looks like even Abby seems to not enjoy what's happening right now.
Yeah. And I mean when she said she feels so alone, like that's she's in this difficult family situation and she feels like an outsider from the town she lives in because of her family situation and her dad being in prison, and she just doesn't seem like there's a lot of people she can rely on.
Yeah. I mean, that feeling, I think that's really relatable in like high school and when you're in like your teens. Cause I don't know, I remember feeling really lonely in high school because I was like, I'm not, like, I don't have enough friends, like maybe what's wrong with me that I don't have enough friends or, which the friends I had in high school were actually really great.
Hmm.
It's like sometimes it's not about the quantity, it's the quality.
No, you seemed like you had great friends in high school.
Yeah, I regret not really staying in touch with them.
Well, maybe they'll become listeners of this podcast.
Yeah, I'll win them back.
I mean, honestly, you probably could just reach out, but okay.
Yeah. I could, but it's like, "Hey, guy or gal that I haven't talked to in, let's see, 13 years."
Yeah. Anyway.
But also I was gonna say, like, I also understand that feeling of when you're a teenage girl and it feels like it's such a big deal to have a boyfriend, that maybe you're like a failure if you don't. and
Yeah.
that because you don't, it makes you feel more lonely.
Yeah, yeah. Or when all your friends get married, that too. It's kind of like we relive these dynamics. It's fine.
No, I feel you there. Yeah, we're both in our 30s, and that's the time where people are getting married and having kids. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we'll catch everybody when they're coming around for the second marriage.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I don't know where my man is. He's probably in his first marriage with the girl he married from high school. I don't know.
I don't know.
Or he's really introverted like me and just sits at home all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
Joey is sad.
Joey's very sad. And you think, where can we go from here?
Yeah.
And where we go from here is the librarian comes in and says, "You guys can all go home. It's 5."
Just like, well, we're done, guys.
Everyone's kind of like putting their hand over their face, like, I feel like we came in better than how we're leaving.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, everything is worse and more complicated in weirder ways. Well, it's
Yeah.
actually things are very much better for Pacey and Dawson
Yeah.
because it doesn't seem like Dawson is. I don't know. It's yeah, Joey is definitely coming out of this the worse for wear.
Yeah. Okay. So, I do have some fun facts.
Go. I could use some
Okay.
fun facts.
So, in an interview, Joshua Jackson said that when he got hit in the face with a basketball, how they did that was that they painted a beach ball to look like a basketball and then they threw it at his face.
Oh, that is a fun fact.
Hmm. And then the soap opera that the librarian was watching was Days of Our Lives, which the actress who played Miss Jacobs, Leanne Hunley, was in for, I guess, a few seasons.
Oh,
Yeah.
also a fun fact.
I'm just chock full of them this episode.
You're nailing it.
The last fact I have is that so the librarian is named Miss Tringle, who is based on an English teacher that what's his name? The guy who is the creator of the show. Um um um
Oh,
um um um. I should know this. Kevin Williamson. All right. Okay.
yeah, there you go.
Took me a minute. Yeah, so Miss Tringle was based on an English teacher of his that had like a very negative impact on him, I guess.
Mm,
Which you would think it was like the guy who was talking about euthanasia, but
mm. I believe Kevin Williamson also wrote a film called Teaching Mrs. Tingle, so this name comes up.
the teacher was called Miss Tringle, and then he also used sort of reused that name for teaching Miss Tingle, and she's the villain in that movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
And also in that movie, Katie Holmes stars in it.
Oh,
I know. There's
there
so
you
many
go.
connections happening.
Yeah, and we're like a hive mind, like a galaxy brain.
So we've been here for 2 hours.
Yeah, this has turned out to be a long one.
There's a lot happening in an episode where people are not really going places very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've come to the moment of whose creek is it?
I think maybe it's just because I feel so much for her, but I think it's Joey's Creek. Like she's the one that I guess I empathize the most with, and she's the
Hmm.
one who I don't know because her story didn't change that much, but it felt like she's the most emotionally impacted, or it could just be the
Hmm.
recency bias that she's the last person having the most emotional thing happen to her.
Hmm.
But like even when she's not at the center of things, I'm sort of looking for her in the background and just be like, oh, who's taking care of Joey?
Hmm. Yeah. I I like don't want to say it's Joey because that feels like the easy answer, but I think it is. My second would be Jen because Jen really gets real with Joey.
Mm-hmm.
And Jen talks about how Dawson has vastly improved her experience by being there, and they're kind of reconciling some insecurities in their relationship. And as I'm talking about it, I'm like, is it Jen's Creek? I don't know. It's really hard. I also did think when I was watching the episode, I'm like, what if it's everybody's creek?
Yeah. What if they're all paddling the raft together? Well, and it's funny because, like, action wise, Dawson and Pacey have the most happening, but somehow it
Mhm,
just doesn't feel as emotionally impactful.
mhm. It might be because we're women. I don't know. Or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe we're disregarding the boys' feelings.
Yeah. I mean, the episode is kind of the whole time dealing with Dawson's insecurity of like not being enough of a man or like not performing masculinity well enough.
Yeah. It's so yeah, I think I have trouble. I know that is something that many young men and adult men struggle with.
Like I'm so frustrated by them because I'm like, but once you like let that go, your life is gonna be so much more happier. Like,
Yeah, and like so many like I'm not if you're performing that like traditional masculinity, that's not attractive to me. But there are women
mm-mm.
it is. I don't know. So I admit that this was a big episode for Dawson, but I just found it really hard to take his story seriously, even though I know that I'm sure it represents very real stories.
Yeah.
Your feelings are valid, Dawson.
Yeah. It's just not the most important feelings in this episode.
Yeah, not for me.
Okay, so your final answer is Joey?
Yeah.
Okay. I need a moment to think.
Okay.
I'm like, it would be more interesting if we didn't always agree.
I know.
But I think like you would respect my choice if it was Jen. It wouldn't be like we'd
Yeah.
have it out and there would be a big discussion of me needing to prove that, you know?
No, no, that is not how I'm approaching this podcast.
I wanted it to be argumentative.
Okay, we'll work
Nah, I'm
on that.
kidding. We need conflict. Yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna agree with you. It's Joey.
Yeah. Did you hear Crush?
Yeah,
Did you think it was Joey? He doesn't respond when I actually want him to.
I know.
Yeah. Yep, it's wild because it seemed like I don't know how we ended up talking about this episode for so long.
I mean, well, we had our little tangent of me getting a little snack and you had responding to some friends, and then we also had some long tangents about our experiences being Californians. So,
And then, the ethics of doctor assisted suicide.
yeah, some big topics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're all wrapped up?
I think we are. You can follow us on TikTok or Instagram at Whose Creek Is It, where we post little snippets and let you know when we have new episodes out. We aim to get a new episode out every Monday.
Yeah. And if you like the episode and you know someone who's watched Dawson's Creek, you can always send them the episode. I'd like to think that we're getting better at this, but who knows? Also, it might take some time.
Also, we both have full-time jobs and are just doing the best that we can in an imperfect world.
Yeah, we're just like everyone else.
Yeah, my laptop's 10 years old.
And my laptop hasn't been working the last two episodes.
Yeah, we're
Anyway.
holding it together with like shoelaces here, man.
So, the next episode is called Boyfriend. This one's
Ooh.
a little more ambiguous. Do you think maybe Joey got a boyfriend, or maybe maybe Dawson got a boyfriend? I don't know.
When I was watching the show and they automatically like prompt you with the next one, I saw preview, and it said that Jen's ex-boyfriend comes to town.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what happens.